Hi, my name is Ara from RTE Robotics, and today I'll be showing you how to use the Looks library in Scratch. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the say and think commands. What these do is they just give your character comic book like speech. So if we use the say hello for 2 seconds, it'll say hello in a speech bubble, and it goes away after 2 seconds. We also just have the say hello, and this makes the character say hello for a very long time. Yeah, it's not going to stop. So, and it does the same thing with the think command. So think for 2 seconds. As you can see, it appears in thought bubbles. And the same thing happens for the think, but this one, again, goes on forever. I'm not gonna. Okay. Next, we have the costumes. So, what is a costume? A costume is just a drawing that we use to animate the sprite. And you can make your own costumes by using the tools here. So this makes rectangles and squares. So to make any rectangle, you just drag and click. And to make a square, you can click and drag while holding shift. So get rid of that. Next, we have the circle. So we can either just make an ellipse or hold shift and it becomes a circle. Let's do that. We also have text, which is good for menus. And say you want to type something. That's the cat's name, Scratch. From Scratch. Let's move. You have the erase tool, so this just erases anything. Oh. Including our cat, apparently. This is the brush tool. You can make drawings with these. So just give Scratch like his own outline. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. This is the select tool. So what this does is you basically get to change any shape you like. So this is a line. Now it's not a line, it's some other shape. And this other point is used to control what the curve on this line is, or on the shape. I don't really like this shape, so I'm gonna just delete them. And finally, we have the cursor tool. You can just use as a regular cursor. You can click and move, and you can delete stuff. Okay, let's go back to our code. Here we have switch and costume to cat B cat A. Let's just fix these names because what is cat B cat A? So it's catwalk 2. That's a slightly more meaningful name. So this just changes the costume from a catwalk to catwalk 2. So it just does basically this. And instead of switching to the next costume, you could always just use next costume, which does practically the same thing as switch costume, but it only goes to the next costume. Here, it doesn't really make a difference as we only have 2 costumes, but when you have a lot of costumes, sometimes like 10, 11, you're going to be using a next costume because it's just a lot more simpler to use, somehow to memorize which one is next. And like costumes for sprites, you also have costumes for backdrops. So this is just the art on the backdrop. As you can see, we got our smiley face. Let's make him a happy face. Give him a tongue, some teeth. Now he's a scary boy. Okay, let's just leave him like this. And make a new backdrop. So you hover over the backdrop logo and click paint. So now let's make our smiley face. Yay. Oh, the smiley face. Here we smiley face. So what this let's go back to looks. So what this does is it just changes the backdrop. So let's go. Now this changes backdrop goes to the next backdrop. But if we go to backdrop 2, it's always going to change back to backdrop 2. And then you have the same thing for next backdrop. So what you can do is just spam click. But here we don't really need next backdrop because when you have switched to backdrop 2, we already have the next backdrop feature in it. Okay. Next, we're going to be learning about the changing the size of our sprite. So this is change size by. So this adds a number or subtracts if you put a negative number to our size. Right now, Scratch is at 100% size, so full size. If we put 10, then he increases by 10%. If you put 20, he increases by 20%. If you put 30, then he increases by 30%. And I think you understand what happens if we increase it by 40. He goes by 40%. He's very big. Let's make him smaller. We also have set size 2. So this sets a size to any number. And we can have fun with this command. If we go to operators and pick random, make the range a little bit larger and put it into a forever loop in control. Now we just got a randomly sized cat. This guy's hurting my eyes. I'm gonna just stop. Let's now go to changing some other characteristics of our cat. So we have the change color, or just change anything. So we can make him fish-eyed. As you can, this is annoying. Yeah, as you can see, he's becoming more and more of a fisher. And you can also duplicate this, not only to make fish eyes, but also to make him RGB. So let's just add all of the effects at this point. Like, why not? We have whirl. I don't think you can tell which each one does, so let's separate all of this. So what whirl does, it just makes it whirly. Pixelate just lowers the quality of the cat. Mosaic all it does is just duplicates it. So if we change mosaic by 25%, we got we got a 4x4 cat. This, okay. Okay. Next we have the brightness. So let's just put them against a black backdrop. I think we should just. It's easier to show when it's against a black backdrop. Let's go to paint and use the fill command to make the black backdrop. Oh yeah, we have to make this. Hide him. And let's go back to the cat. And let's go. I think we should make it a little bit slow. Because I do not know what's happening. Basically, it just increases his brightness and then ghost makes him fade away. You also have the set effect too. It does the same thing, but just automatically it goes to a specific predetermined value. So you can't really get the build up that you got with like color. Change color effect by 25% like this. Okay, you got a colorful cat. We also have the clear graphics. So all this does is just clear the graphics. It makes it look normal without you having to stop the entire code. We have the show and hide, which just makes the sprite visible and invisible, respectively. And before we go into the last layer, I'd like to explain what layers are. So layers are like foreground and background. So the foreground is where we got a cat, and the background, so our backdrop, is where we got our black. So if you have go to front layer, so we have our invisible, a smiley face, creepy smiley face, as the middleman between these two. So if we want to bring it to the front, above the cat, we use the go to front feature, the go to front. As you can see, he is now above the cat. Let's get back on track. So we have go to front layer. This just takes it directly to the front, in front of all of the characters, all of the backdrops. go forward one layer, just puts it in front of whatever character backdrop that it's in front of. And then you have these three things. These are what we call variables. We have our own we can make our own variables, but what these do is just allows us to change the commands. So here, as you can see, we're using the names, but we can change it to costume number. And then, yeah, you can change it to the costume number. And then you have the same thing for the backdrop number. And same thing for size. Okay, that's it for the looks library on Scratch.